if you listen to this show, you know that I have mentioned occasionally that I try to get people into a Hall of Fame. John Facenda, I reached out to the Hall of Fame and I said the voice of the NFL should be in the Hall of Fame, and he got in. Now, I've lobbied for other players to get into the Hall of Fame, and I had never met Tony Boselli years ago. I'd never met him, but I did watch him, and it's one of those where you say, who's a Hall of Famer? When you watch somebody, you go, I think he's a Hall of Famer. He was an all-pro lineman, back in the 1995 draft. And, linemen sort of get forgotten because we only bring their name up if they do something like holding or they, give up a sack. And I just saw Tony and said the Jags have one of the better offensive linemen that I've ever seen. And that's saying a lot because I've been around the game for, 40 years now. And I didn't even know that when the announcement happened, but I got all these people who sent me texts and said, your boy got in the Hall of Fame. And I go, who's my boy? And then I realized that Tony got into the Hall of Fame. And we've brought it up numerous times. Usually, on this day or the day, days after, you don't get into the Hall of Fame. And Tony got into the Hall of Fame. So I was very, very happy. And I said to Fritzy, see if Tony can join us. And Tony, congrats. We did it.
Well, Dan, we did. I'm glad I'm your boy, too. I mean, that's that made me laugh this morning. It was this is much better than the last, I think, this is my 6th year. So the last 5 years before where I'm mourning with you about not making the Hall of Fame. So it's I've enjoyed this Super Bowl weekend as much as any weekend I ever have. And it was a lot of fun. Walk us through how you find out you're a Hall of Famer. Yeah, because of COVID, the last two, in that past, they used to vote on Saturday before the Super Bowl, and then you'd find out Saturday night at the honor show. The last 2 years, because of the pandemic, they voted virtually. This year, they did it on the 18th. And I had no idea when I'd find out. And my wife found out on the 19th. The Hall of Fame called her and said, hey, your husband's made the Hall of Fame. And she didn't tell me because they wanted to set up this. Oh, did not tell me. They wanted to set up this big surprise knock. And so on the 27th, I'm sitting around waiting. I haven't heard anything. Nobody's talking. And I'm at a buddy's house, one of my good friends. And they're talking. They set up this whole ruse to get me there, first of all. And then there's a knock on the door. And he goes, hey, can you go get that for me? I got to do something. And I said, sure, I'll go get it. So I walk downstairs. I open up the door, and there's Anthony Munoz in his gold jacket with NFL Network and Hall of Fame and all my family behind them. And, he puts his hand out, shakes my hand, gives me a big hug. He says, welcome to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So it was magical. But then I couldn't say anything for 2 weeks. Like, we were sworn to silence. And so, there's moments like you forget. I don't say you forget about it, but I'm like, can they call me and take this back? I mean, it's not nothing's out there officially yet. So the big moment was walking on the honors where they called me out. Bruce Smith was the one to introduce me, which is pretty fitting, based seeing that the game against him was kind of my coming out party. That's when it was like, okay, they're never taking this away now. What kind of emotions? I think the prevailing emotion is gratitude more than anything. It's so humbling because now I've been a football fan since I can remember. So a lot of the guys that are in Hall of Fame, those are the guys I looked up to. You watched and I wanted to be like, and I never imagined that my name would be next to theirs or I'd have a bust next to theirs. And so it's really humbling, but it's just the gratitude I feel for all the people that helped me get here. Because, football, number one, is the greatest team sport ever. And I played the greatest team position. There's no great – you were dependent on the guys next to you as an offensive lineman. And I have great coaches and mentors. And so I'm just really thankful for that. I always say a couple things. I didn't make myself 6'7". That was the gift of God who said, I'm going to make you big and give you good feet. And then I'm thankful that God put great people in my path because I just don't think any of us get where we go by ourselves. And I had some really great people. And then the one, it wasn't a bad thing, but there was a sad moment. My dad passed away in 2021. And I knew last year when they called me and said I didn't make it, there was a good chance he wouldn't be around because he had cancer when I got in. And so missing him being there and him experiencing it, because I don't think there was a bigger fan of mine than my dad, and just what he meant in my life. So I missed him, but I know he was up in heaven smiling, probably doing high fives and enjoying himself.
Talking to Tony Boselli, the former Jacksonville Jaguar tackle and first player drafted by the Jags. Is that right? You were the first player?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yep.
How would Tony Boselli in his prime have done against Aaron Donald? What would you have done last night against him?
Yeah, after I would pray a lot before I went out there. Because Aaron Donald reminds me of he with the way he plays and his size. He gives a big guy like me problems in one sense, because he has instant leverage, and reminds me of John Randall a little bit. His ability to get on top and overpower, but also has the quickness. And so, I've watched Aaron Donald a lot, and he's one of the top defensive players ever to play this game. If he never plays another snap, just like he's like one of those guys like Brady and some others, just like waive the 5 years, just put them in the dang Hall of Fame. I mean, that's where they belong. But I watched him. I've watched him a bunch, and one thing I would do is I'd force Aaron Donald to run over me, because he's so quick, and I think what you want to do is make sure you don't get beat right away. Like, you want to make it as long, give your quarterback as much time, and make him go through you, because even the play at the end of the game, he got up field on the shoulder of Spleen and got around the corner. There's no chance. You got to force him to go around you. It's easier said than done. So I just said off him. And just said, hey, all right, Aaron, if you're going to get sacks today, you're going to have to go right through me, because I'm not going to sit right there in the line of scrimmage and let you beat me immediately. He's just a fabulous player. I mean, he's one of the few, every great defensive lineman, every great pass rusher, you have to have speed and power. I just don't think you can just beat, good offensive linemen with one if you just have one in your arsenal. And Aaron Donald has it all.
Where do you think it turned last night for the Bengals?
It was. I'll say, before I answer this, it was the least watched Super Bowl I've ever watched, man, because I was enjoying the moment so much about the Hall of Fame in the suite and having a good time. So this might not be my best work analyzing the game, if I'm being honest. I thought when they settled for some field goals in that tight red zone, I think that what hurt them. And I was shocked at the end, under 2 minutes, that they get in the shotgun. You need a half a yard. I mean, get up there and take your chances. I mean, that shocked me. I mean, that's not why they lost the game. I mean, they felt like that was their best chance. But the red zone production, and then also just, I don't understand why teams under a yard are getting in the shotgun and throwing the ball. I mean, if you can't get half a yard, you probably don't deserve to win.
Congratulations. And long time coming, but, I wish your father could have been there for you. I'm sure that you'll acknowledge that in your speech, and we look forward to hearing that.
Dan, I appreciate it. And I do appreciate all the support of you and the show and all the guys on the show throughout the years. That is not lost on me, and I appreciate it greatly.
Thank you, bud. We appreciate your time. That's Tony Boselli. Now call him a Hall of Famer.